Okay, without further ado, let's get this conference started. Today's first speaker is Chairman of the CloudStack European User Group, an Apache Claim CloudStack PMC member, and my boss. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, from ShapeBlue, Giles Sirett.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to CloudStack Collab 2024. Anybody excited? Hey! Okay, this is the 16th CloudStack Collab we've done. The very first one was in Las Vegas in 2012. We've been to lots of amazing places since. For a couple of years, we actually ran 2 conferences in one year, and here we are in wonderful Madrid. And so far, my experience is this is a sort of fantastic city, it's a fantastic venue, and I'm really excited to be here with everybody. What's in a name? It's the CloudStack Collaboration Conference. I've been involved with the project since about 2011, 2012, and I remember the discussions in the mailing list when we had our very first conference in Las Vegas in 2012, and the issue came up, what do we call this thing, right? And like any open source project, it turned into a big debate about our values and what we wanted from the conference, etc. And the key thing kept coming through, we want a conference where people collaborate. We don't want a conference that's absolutely packed full of stalls and booths and you find it hard to navigate. We want a conference where people can come, they can share ideas, they can share problems, they can learn, and they can collaborate with other community members. So that's why we called it the CloudStack Collaboration Conference. And I ask everybody here today, please do that. Please go and learn. Obviously, you're going to go to talks and things, but please share your ideas, share your problems with other people who are here, and let's use this conference to get some good done in our community. Now, it's not the biggest conference many of you will have ever been to, but one thing with this conference I always find, it's got an incredibly high, you've spotted it, incredibly high signal-to-noise ratio. So it's small, it's focused, nearly everybody here is somehow involved in CloudStack, either as a user or a contributor or an organization who are evaluating CloudStack. So it really does give you a good chance to sort of find out more about the technology, share your problems, and overcome challenges. This isn't actually the first day. The conference started yesterday with a hackathon in the room next door. Traditionally, not many people turn up to our hackathons. The room was absolutely packed yesterday. I think there was standing room only, somebody told me. And a lot of good work happened there in terms of development, documentation, that sort of thing. So well done the people who are involved in that. All right, quick game. I like games. I have some numbers and I have some prizes. Don't get too excited, it's just swag I picked up out there. So I've got a ShapeBlue stroke CloudStack baseball cap, I've got some store pool socks, and some CloudOps socks. 3 numbers, okay. There's no rules, just shout out. 37, this is about the conference and the people here. Anybody guess what the number 37 is? Businesses, countries. It's the number of sessions we've got. So we've got 37 sessions you can attend, so I'll have the hat. Okay, 27. Somebody's already said it earlier. Countries. Okay, so I had a quick... Did anybody actually get that, or am I going to have to keep all this swag? Did you get it? Have the socks. Somewhere over there. Okay. I had a quick look at the registration data with Yvette yesterday, looked through. There are registrations from 27 different countries. I think that's absolutely amazing. Okay, we're a truly global open source community. And I say, for all those people who have traveled such a distance, thank you for making the effort to come here. A percentage, 54%. Anybody? Drunk. No, drunk? I'm getting a lot of swag. Awake? Okay. When I looked at those registrations with Yvette, 54% of people answered the question, this is my first CloudStack Collab. Okay? So roughly half of us are people who have been coming for years. Half of you are new to this conference. And that, to me, is super exciting. It's super exciting for our project. It's super exciting that people are coming along for the first time to find out about this technology. If you are new, welcome. You'll find us a friendly bunch. You'll find us a very collaborative bunch, hopefully. All right, I'm not going to do the schedule in detail, but just to give you an idea, this morning we're all in here for keynotes. We have a break between 11:45 and 12, lunch at just before 1:30. And then this afternoon we split into 3 rooms. This being one of the rooms, there's the workshops room and the, what are we calling it? The Cloud Monkey room, which are just out to the left. Check the website for the schedule of where the exact talks are you want to attend. We go through to 5:45, and then at 6:30 we have our drinks party, which is in a restaurant just around the corner. So you come out of the building, turn right, and it's just there. But if anybody can't remember those simple directions, scan that now, and that's a Google Maps link. Tomorrow, coffees from 9 o'clock. The sessions start at 9:30. Obviously, lunch in the middle, coffee break in the afternoon. And we go right through till 6:10 on a Friday night. Everybody excited about that? Okay. Please, if you can, I know a lot of people are rushing off to the airport or just want to get to the pub, right? That's what us British people like to do on a Friday night. But please try and hang around till the end. What basically happened is we had so many talks submitted. We had to sift through them. We were quite selective about the talks we accepted, but we just wanted all these talks to get onto the schedule. So there's a couple of very long days, I acknowledge, but I think it's worth investing the time to hear the great stuff we've got going on. A couple of things that aren't so good. At both of the parties, there will be, I think there's a bit of tapas and some sort of finger food, but there's no dinner with this event, so you need to sort yourselves out for dinner. And we're feeling it might be a little bit limited. This is the space we've got, where you were this morning with the exhibitors in here and the 2 rooms. The lunch comes in as sort of bags with sandwiches or salads, but it might be a bit tight for room. You're welcome to use these rooms, go outside, what have you, but there might be a bit of a shortage of chairs. All right, putting these events on is a lot of time and effort. So I'm going to just fly through and say thanks to a few people. Yvette, where are you? She ain't even in the room. She's not here. Save it. And Jamie, are you here, Jamie? Yeah, well done. They've worked tirelessly to get this organised over the last few months. Guido, myself, and Simon. Simon isn't here, unfortunately. We were the talk selection committee representing the CloudStack PMC. The guys at Jotalulu, are you in yet? No, they've probably got a meeting because they're based in Madrid. They were our local, but effectively the local event organisers. They're based in Madrid, and they've done a lot of the local logistics, the finances, and that sort of stuff, and put a lot of work in. And then the people who are speaking and presenting, thank you for taking the time to put talks together. So let's give them all a round of applause, right? These things cost a lot of money. These rooms cost money, these headsets cost money, lunch costs money, so our sponsors. Without the sponsors, we wouldn't be here, okay? So I want to say thank you to all of these people. Now, all of these companies are either companies who have got a product or a service that they want the CloudStack guys to know about, right? Or they're maybe a user of CloudStack who want to raise their profile in the community, okay? So they've given money to allow us to do this. So what I ask in return is everybody here, if you could please make sure, have a chat with all of our sponsors. Grab them at coffee. I know all of these companies. There's no hard salespeople here, right? It's just going to be a nice, friendly chat. Find out about these organizations, because there's some great tech here. There's some fantastic organizations. So let's just say thank you to all of the sponsors while we're here. Okay, so the Apache CloudStack community, this is the biggest get-together of that community. A question that people often say to me is, who is the community, right? Who do I phone if I need to speak to the Apache CloudStack community? And it isn't a simple answer. So especially because I knew there were new people here, I just thought I'd take a couple of minutes just to sort of run through how our community is built up. And it isn't a simple diagram. I'm not going to go through it all in great detail. In fact, Dan, you're doing a talk, is that today or tomorrow? Tomorrow, talking about the governance model and how the project sits together. But underneath the work we do, we've got the Apache Software Foundation, and that gives us a governance model, a legal structure, legal protection, to be able to operate as an open source project. And it also gives us a set of values and an ethos about how we should do that. On top of that, we have our community, our project, right? Now, I've split it here into a users community and a development community. There is no official definition of those two. My point here is if you're using CloudStack, you're part of our community. You can jump on the mailing list, you can ask questions, you can help other people. You don't just have to be somebody who's contributing code or contributing documentation, okay? And there's lots of other ways to contribute. The work that Jamie and Yvette do organising this conference is effectively community contribution on the, on the event side. Now, Apache gives us a couple of formal pieces. The committers have obviously got rights to commit code, and PMC, which is like the overseeing management committee. But they're really, in the grand scheme of things, not that important, because the important people in our community are the contributors and the users, which could be any of us, right? This conference sort of sits on the side of the community. Then we've got other user groups. There's a CloudStack European user group. That's the thing I'm chair of. There's a fantastic user group that runs in India who had loads of people turning up to their last meetup. And all of these things basically constitute our community. Okay? So there's not one thing. So simply by being here today, you're a member of our community. Okay? And that's how it works, right? You don't need an official title to be part of this community. Now, we also have one other thing I haven't put on there. We have a VP. So every year, the PMC selects one of us to become the official liaison point between us and the Open Source Foundation. And we have a tradition at this conference that our VP does the State of the Union talk. It's like, what's going on in the community? What's going to happen in the next 12 months? Where are we going? Now, unfortunately, our VP is based in the far end of Brazil, and he was unable to travel for this conference. So Daniel's just sent us a very short video just to say hello. And I've just realized...
Hello guys, I'm Daniel Salvador, the current VP of the Apache CloudStack project, and I'm here to welcome you to the CloudStack Collaboration Conference of this year. CloudStack has been playing a critical role for several companies and service providers. And with that, we are seeing more and more users and contributors around the world joining our community. And that's crucial for the further development of the project. Together, we are taking CloudStack to a whole new level. So thank you guys for making CloudStack this awesome community and project it is. Due to some logistic issues, I could not manage to be in person at this conference to meet you guys, but we will have other opportunities in the future. I'm sure the other contributors will do everything to make this conference awesome for you guys. If you are new to CloudStack, welcome aboard, and I hope everyone can enjoy the conference, share ideas, make connections, and have a wonderful time. Thank you, guys.
Okay, so that's Daniel, our current VP. So we haven't got the State of the Union talk this year, so that means you get the next 15 minutes of me talking about what I think about is going on in the community. It's not a full 45 minutes like we'd normally have. So it's been a year since we met, and it's been a quite bizarre and quite incredible year for Apache CloudStack. Before we start looking at what's happened, just a reminder about where we are as a project in its sort of history and its life cycle. We all know the Gartner hype curve, right? And back in, when was it, 2011, 2012, we were all talking about where we are and we're in the trough. CloudStack is so far over on that right-hand side, right? It's almost off the graph, right? We've been steady and stable as a technology for about the last 5-6 years, right? We're so out of the hype, okay? And for the last 5-6 years, we've seen steady growth in terms of people downloading the software, new users, the amount of development we're doing. It's all been pretty steady, and that's sort of been good. We all used to say a few years ago, CloudStack's boring. You want it to be boring because it's a technology you just don't really want to have much to do with. You just want it to work, right? So we are not, the latest hype thing. We're a steady 12-year, well, actually, some of the code is like 13-year-old project that just works, and we've been saying that for years. I think 2023, we did something like 4 releases, okay, in total, including maintenance releases. These are the releases in 2024. 13, right? Things are getting a little bit busier. In early February, we had 4.19, which is the current version. I think Rohit's going to be talking about some of that functionality later this morning. We're in voting for 4.20 at the moment. That should be out in the next couple of weeks. We've had a whole load of maintenance and security releases. The community has been busy with releases, so we've picked up the cadence. Okay? We've had loads of new functionality. Again, mentioned Rohit's going to talk about these in detail, but some really quite significant functionality. Object storage, the support for ARM64, CloudStack DRS, quite significant new things have come along in the 4.19, 4.20 timeframe. 2024 has also been a really busy year being out and about with CloudStack. We've had 2, I think, European user groups. We did a really successful joint event with Ceph in Amsterdam. The Indian user group was there. They had standing room only. We went to CloudFest and were the busiest booth, probably by size. Okay, the Intel booth was about 20 times the size of ours, and they had a bit of interest. But for the size of booth, we were absolutely inundated. So things have been busy. Now, one of the problems we have with CloudStack is that as an Apache project, we don't properly track our users. It's free software for anybody to take, okay? We don't ask anybody to register, and that's correct. We shouldn't do that. And we don't really have a marketing department. Apache doesn't do marketing very well. So in terms of who is actually using our software, it's always been a little bit of guesswork and anecdotal based on who we know, who turns up to conferences. And there's no one definitive list. There is a list of known users on the CloudStack website, which, to be frank, is always out of date. So I'm starting with the slide. Rohit, this was your slide. Rohit was our VP last year, and this was from your State of the Union. These were the users who you knew were using CloudStack, that you thought were important to talk about a year ago. Some hugely significant names, okay? And traditionally with CloudStack, we've seen a handful of new names appearing every year, okay? I did the same exercise, and they're the ones I could find have appeared in the last 12 months, right? Something's changed. In fact, at the top there, Yotta and US Signal, who are both doing our keynotes here this morning. And in fact, I think there's people from a lot of these organizations here this morning. But the rate of adoption is definitely increasing. This is really anecdotal, right? But there's absolutely an uptake in adoption. And we do have the problem. As an open source project, we have users, we have people we know use our software who don't like to talk about it. And that always remains a thing, and that will always be a problem with any open source project. So also, going back to Rohit's State of the Union last year, I've tabulated it. It doesn't look quite as nice as it did when Rohit presented it. But he gave some data points. The number of package downloads of CloudStack, number of times our management server packages have been downloaded. And this was roughly the same time last year, and Rohit had nearly 228,000. Also talked about how busy our GitHub repo had been. In the last 15 days, we'd had 1,700 visitors. And I think it's last 15 days because that's the default measurement period in GitHub. And we'd got 1,600 stars on GitHub. I've repeated the process, okay? And we've had some pretty dramatic changes. And by the way, I haven't gone back to 2022, 2021, but this was steady for years, okay? And things have changed dramatically in the last 12 months. 53% uptake in people downloading Apache CloudStack. Just go back. Just need to mention, while we're talking about our packages, they're not sponsoring the conference, but a massive thank you to CDN77, who provide us our CDN for our package downloads. Let's give them a round of applause. I don't think they're here today, but thank you, guys. Okay, so that's our package downloads by month. I'm trying to look for some patterns in this. This is combining the repos that sit, the ones that Guido runs, and the ones that ShapeBlue run as well. They're the two main places that people download Apache CloudStack. And I can see something going on there. Now, we always get cycles around releases, but there is a clear pattern at the beginning of this year, right? We're seeing an upward trend. I then move on to our mailing list messages. That's how busy our community is. That's a KPI for how busy a community is. And if I'm looking at all mailing list messages, I think I might see a trend there that's going on this year. But this gets really interesting if I look at just our users' mailing list. And the users' mailing list is where people who are new to CloudStack turn up and get community support. Okay? So this includes all our mailing lists, development, marketing, etc. If I add on the users' mailing list, that's what happens. Again, pretty clear trend coming from the beginning of the year. Okay? We've got a lot of new people coming into Apache CloudStack, asking questions for the first time, etc. Again, all around January of this year. Simple Google Trends, I mean, that speaks for itself. This is back 5 years. I could take this back 10 years. It would be pretty constant. This very boring product that's been in its plateau of productivity, okay, has a certain amount of interest, just enough. Suddenly things have gone crazy. Okay, I guess everybody in this room knows the point I'm about to get to. Yes, something changed, but I'm going to look at it from a slightly different perspective and try and avoid using any vendors' names. Okay. For years, in its early days, you described the use cases for CloudStack. It was very easy. Early days, you said, well, the public cloud because you're a service provider, or private cloud because you're an enterprise, you're not a service provider. And I, over the years, evolved that into, right, the main people who are using CloudStack are either cloud service providers or organizations who want to automate, right? And that seems to be the common denominator. So they want CloudStack as a foundational level inside their organization, underneath their other tooling. We have a new use case. I'm not going to say the word. That has been a tsunami for, not just for CloudStack, for other open source projects as well. XCP-NG, Olivia is speaking tomorrow. They've seen the same stuff as well, right? The virtualization market is changing dramatically. Now, what we're seeing is use cases there, as in traditional enterprise, not organizations who wish to automate, but traditional organizations who just need to change their virtualization platform, and they thought they'd never have to do that, right? Virtualization has just been boring and set in stone because they paid the check to that organization for the last 15 years. The world's changed, right? So people are looking at alternative hypervisors, and then they want tooling which sit on top of those hypervisors, and we've got some tooling. It's called Apache CloudStack. The other knock-on effect, in fact, probably more relevant in the last 12 months, is then service providers who have done cloud for a long time now also need to get away from the organization whose name I'm not going to mention. So there's loads more service providers in our space. And we're going to hear from one of those service providers this morning. Just think in terms of that new use case, what people actually want. I mean, this is my view of it. They obviously need to change vendor. Organizations are waking up to, I need to choose open source. This incident has happened, or this situation has happened. Going back to another proprietary vendor, it could happen again. Okay? So a lot of organizations said, right, enough of this, let's move to open source. Proven and stable, so a lot of organizations a bit worried about open source, so we want something with a very stable development community and a good development community. And then on the technical side, I need some quite rich tooling. I might not have used all of the stuff that I bought from the other vendor before, but there's some of the stuff I need. I don't just need a hypervisor, I do need some management tools here. Some of their advanced features, and I want a technology that's stable, because we haven't had to think about virtualization for the last 10 years. I don't want to have to start thinking about it again now. Okay? So I want something that's stable. So they say to their architect, go and find me something that's stable. And of course, a lot of them are going, I found something that ticks all those boxes. There are other things that tick the boxes. And I think that is absolutely one of the main reason we've seen this massive spike in CloudStack in the last 12 months. Obviously, there are other factors that's going on at the moment. I'm not going to do those in detail today, but, you know, cloud repatriation, we started calling it. I call this more hyperscaler repatriation because their margins are too high. But people are starting to, you know, this. All I'm going to do is just throw this at a big hyperscaler, people are thinking about that more, whether that's building internally or looking at smaller, more agile, managed service providers. That world is changing. And again, I'm not going to do this in any detail. We know there's something going on called generative AI. We know there's a lot of need for a lot of compute and a lot of automation around that. So those are massive driving factors underneath. But I think the thing that single-handedly has, changed what we've seen in our world in the last 12 months is what's going on with this particular vendor. So if we just bring all of those things together. So we've got the underlying drivers. We've got the fact that when it comes to changing virtualization, we sort of tick every box. The community, which is, super established, very, very mature. We're all meeting up in Madrid. We've got great user stories, but not just recent user stories, because we're not in the hype curve. We've got user stories of people who've been using this software for a decade and are still using it, right? So this is all very, very stable. And we're nowhere near the hype. We're right off the end of the hype. And I think those things are just lining up perfectly for CloudStack. And I think the next year we're going to see continued significant growth in people who want to be part of the project. And my view on it is that basically everything's just lining up beautifully. Okay? That's it from me. I'm not going to talk anymore. Please do enjoy the rest of CloudStack Collab.